The Galactic Assembly Hall was older than most stars. It floated at the center of known space, a colossal ring of black metal and glowing energy bands, wide enough to hold moons inside it. Thousands of species had gathered there over millions of years. Empires had risen and fallen under its ceiling of artificial constellations. On this cycle, something rare was happening. A new species had been invited. The name humanity rippled through the chamber like static. Not with excitement. With amusement. High Chancellor Vrul of the Keth Dominion clicked his mandibles and adjusted his gravity throne. His species had ruled 12 systems and crushed 3 rebellions in the last century alone. Are we truly delaying a war council, Vrul hissed, for a species that still burns fossil fuels? Laughter echoed, chirps, psychic pulses, harmonic vibrations. Across the chamber, Ambassador Lyriath of the Illyrian Concord smiled politely. Her luminous eyes scanned the data floating before her. Technically, she said, voice calm, they stopped using fossil fuels 80 cycles ago. That only made the laughter louder. At the far edge of the assembly hall, a small platform activated. Its lights were dimmer. Its shield thinner. Its position deliberately low, near the maintenance lanes. The human seat. 3 figures stood there. Admiral Marcus Hale wore a simple black uniform, no medals visible. His posture was straight, his hands clasped behind his back. Beside him stood Dr. Aisha Rahman, civilian clothes beneath a thin diplomatic cloak, eyes sharp with constant calculation. The third was Ambassador Elena Torres, Earth's official voice, her expression neutral but unreadable. They could hear the laughter. They had expected it. A hologram bloomed above the central dais. The ancient Arbiter AI, a being older than organic memory, spoke with a voice that felt like gravity itself. Species designation, Homo sapiens. Origin, Sol system. Political structure, fragmented planetary alliance. Military ranking, unclassified. That last word drew more amusement. Unclassified meant irrelevant. Vrul leaned forward. Arbiter, he said, why are they here at all? Because, the AI replied, they survived first contact. Silence followed. Brief. Curious. The Arbiter continued. They repelled 3 scouting incursions. They reverse-engineered alien technology within one of their decades. They requested representation. The laughter resumed, this time sharper. Repelled? Scoffed Warlord Care-Attack of the Threx swarm. Our larvae repel insects. Ambassador Torres stepped forward. She did not raise her voice. Honored members of the Assembly, she said, humanity thanks you for allowing us to speak. The translator struggled for a moment. Human language was inefficient, emotional, full of redundancy. The delay only made things worse. You are aware, Torres continued, that our world was classified as low-priority pre-industrial by most of your archives. Yes, Lyriath replied gently. And that classification, Torres said, almost got several of your scout fleets killed. The chamber quieted, not fully but enough. Vrul's eyes narrowed. Is that a threat? No, Admiral Hale said calmly, stepping beside her. It's context. Holographic images flared into existence. Wreckage. Alien hulls twisted and burned. Energy signatures distorted in ways most species avoided studying. These were Keth scout vessels, Hale said, nodding toward Vrul. And Threx drones. And a private Illyrian probe. Lyriath stiffened. You destroyed our probe? Dr. Rahman finally spoke. No. We captured it. Took it apart. Put it back together better. Then returned it. The image shifted. An Illyrian probe docking peacefully with a Concord station, its systems inexplicably upgraded. Whispers rippled through the assembly. That is impossible, Vrul said. On paper, Rahman replied. So was our survival. The Arbiter AI paused longer than usual. Humanity, it said slowly, why do you seek a seat here? Torres met the gaze of 1,000 alien delegates. Because, she said, your wars are moving closer to our system. And because when they reach Earth, someone is going to lose far more than they expect. Karatak's mandibles spread in what passed for a grin. You think yourselves warriors? Admiral Hale smiled for the first time. No, he said. We think ourselves problem solvers. Behind the human platform, space rippled, just for a moment. Only a few noticed. Fewer understood. And none of them yet realized that the species they were laughing at had already mapped every hyperspace route leading to their homeworlds. The Galactic Assembly did not adjourn after humanity spoke. It fractured. In hidden channels and private chambers, the great powers began to argue, not about Earth's worth but about its risk. The Keth Dominion convened first. Their war council chamber was carved from a hollowed asteroid, its walls alive with shifting tactical glyphs. High Chancellor Vrul stood at the center, mandibles clicking in irritation. "They are lying," he snarled. "No species rises from planetary warfare to interstellar competence in 2 centuries. A general stepped forward. "And yet, Chancellor, our scouts are gone. Their wreckage shows weapons we do not recognize." Vrul slammed a claw into the floor. "Then we erase them. Before curiosity becomes fear." Across the galaxy, the Illyrian Concord held a quieter meeting. Their halls were grown, not built, formed from living crystal that resonated with thought. Ambassador Lyriath floated above a pool of starlight, surrounded by elder minds. "The humans are dangerous," one elder said softly. "Not in strength. In adaptation. They are emotionally unstable," another warned. "They bond quickly. They retaliate without hesitation." Lyriath considered the image of Admiral Hale standing calmly under mockery. "They remind me of us," she said at last. "Before we learned restraint." Meanwhile, within the assembly itself, humanity waited. Their platform remained dim. Their shields thin. That was deliberate. Deep beneath the polished metal of the station, far from alien sensors, a narrow chamber hummed with encrypted transmissions. Admiral Hale stood before a holographic map, not of the assembly but of the surrounding sectors. Dr. Ramon's fingers danced through data streams. "They're reacting exactly as predicted," she said. "Keth mobilization signatures detected. Threx swarm increasing drone production by 12%. Ambassador Torres folded her arms. "How long?" "Days," Ramon replied. "Maybe hours." Hale nodded. "Then Phase 1 is complete." Torres exhaled slowly. "They still think we're bluffing." "That's because," Hale said, "we haven't fired yet." Far beyond the assembly, in the dark between stars, something moved. It did not announce itself with hyperspace flares or energy wakes. It slid through folded space like a knife through silk. Designation: UNS Prometheus. Size: classified. Armament: redacted. Crew: human. The ship's hull was matte black, absorbing light and sensors alike. No glowing engines. No decorative architecture. It was pure function. Angles designed to confuse targeting algorithms, surfaces layered with adaptive alloys stolen, learned, and perfected from a dozen alien technologies. Captain June Park stood on the bridge, hands resting lightly on the command rail. "Status," he said. "Phase net stable," replied the navigator. "No detection. Assembly sensors are blind." Park allowed himself a thin smile. "Good. Let's keep it that way." Nearby, a younger officer hesitated. "Sir, if they detect us." "They won't," Park said calmly. "Because they're not looking for something that doesn't follow their rules." Back at the assembly, the Arbiter AI summoned humanity again. This time the chamber was less amused. More watchful. "Humanity," the Arbiter intoned, "several member states have expressed concern regarding your technological claims." Vrol leaned forward eagerly. "We demand inspection of their vessels. Their weapons. Their lies." A ripple of agreement followed. Torres inclined her head. "A reasonable request." Surprise flashed across alien faces. "We will permit inspection," she continued, "under one condition." Karartak's voice buzzed. "You have no leverage." Hale stepped forward. "We do." With a gesture, Ramon activated a projection. It showed a star system, yellow dwarf, multiple inhabited worlds. The Keth home cluster. Gasps rippled through the chamber. "How do you know this layout?" Vrul roared. "Because," Ramon said evenly, "your navigation encryption is elegant, but inefficient." The projection shifted. Red markers appeared. Weapon trajectories. Fleet positions. Defensive blind spots. "This data," Torres said, "is 12 hours old." The assembly erupted. "That is impossible," cried an Illyrian delegate. Hale's voice cut through the noise. "You broadcast everything. You just don't think anyone primitive enough would understand it." Vrul's mandibles trembled, not with rage but something closer to fear. "You hacked us," he said. "No," Ramon corrected. "We listened." The Arbiter AI paused again, longer this time. "Humanity," it said slowly, "are you declaring hostile intent?" Torres met its gaze. "We are declaring capability." Silence fell. Somewhere in that silence, decisions were made. Orders were issued. Fleets began to move. And deep in the dark, the Prometheus adjusted its course, toward the edge of Keth space. Captain Park watched the stars stretch. "Let them inspect," he murmured. "They won't see the knife until it's already at their throat." The inspection team arrived with arrogance. 3 Keth warships docked with the human diplomatic vessel UNS Horizon's Reach, their hulls blazing with ceremonial light. Boarding parties marched through the airlocks in polished armor, weapons visible, sensors sweeping every surface. They expected chaos. They found order. Human corridors were narrow, efficient. No wasted space. No glowing symbols of power. Just steel, composite alloys, and silent crew who watched without fear. Keth Inspector General Jarrell clicked his mandibles in irritation. "Where are your weapon bays?" Commander Elena Weiss did not look offended. She looked bored. "You're standing in one." The Keth scanners pinged. "Nothing." Jarrell snorted. "Primitive humor." Weiss said nothing as the inspection continued. They passed engines that emitted no recognizable signature, reactors that seemed underpowered, and command systems that looked, on the surface, almost civilian. Jarrell relaxed. "This is what frightened the assembly?" he mocked. "You hide weakness behind confidence." In orbit, Admiral Hale watched the feed and allowed it to happen. "Let them underestimate," he said. "That's the last mistake they'll make." The first shot was not fired near Earth. It was fired in Keth space. At the edge of the Keth home cluster, an outlying defense platform detected a ripple, barely above background radiation. Automated systems hesitated, confused by the anomaly. That hesitation lasted 0.4 seconds. Then space folded inward. The UNS Prometheus emerged inside the platform's minimum engagement range. No warning. No challenge. Captain Park's voice was calm. "Fire." There was no beam. No explosion. The platform simply ceased to exist. Its matter unbound at a subatomic level, collapsing into a silent flash of vacuum distortion. Keth Command screamed alarms. "Unknown contact. Energy readings off scale. Platform Theta is gone." Before response fleets could form, the Prometheus vanished again, slipping through folded space like a ghost. The entire engagement lasted 7 seconds. Back at the assembly, the Arbiter AI interrupted ongoing debate. "Emergency broadcast," it announced. "Keth Dominion Defense Network has suffered a catastrophic failure." Vrul's throne jerked as he rose. "Explain." A hologram showed the destroyed platform. Then another. And another. 4 installations. Gone. The laughter was gone now. "This is a provocation." Vrul roared. "Humanity has attacked us." Torres did not deny it. "We removed your forward-listening posts," she said evenly. "The ones aimed at our system." "You call that defense?" Karatak hissed. Hale stepped forward. "We call it boundary setting." The Arbiter's synthetic voice lowered. "Humanity, you were not authorized to conduct military operations." "We were not prohibited," Torres replied. That silence again. Heavier now. The inspection team aboard Horizon's Reach received the alert at the same time. Jarl's mandibles froze mid-click. "What have you done?" Commander Weiss finally smiled. "Shown you the rest of the ship." The walls shifted. Panels slid apart. Civilian plating retracted. The corridor widened as weapon ports unfolded with mechanical precision. The ship was not small. It had been compressed. Keth soldiers raised their weapons, but their targeting systems failed instantly, overwhelmed by cascading data floods. Weiss's voice echoed calmly. "Human ships are modular. What you see depends on what we want you to see." A low hum filled the air. Gravity reversed. The Keth boarding party slammed into the ceiling, pinned by invisible force. "You cheated," Jarrell gasped. Weiss crouched so they were eye level. "No. We adapted." Across the galaxy, reaction spread like fire. The Threx swarm launched probes, only to lose them to silent interception. Pirate coalitions vanished after tracking human supply routes that did not exist. Even the Illyrian Concord withdrew its border patrols, their elders uneasy. "They fight like water," one elder whispered. "No form. No pattern." In Keth space, the Dominion scrambled its fleets. Warships poured from shipyards, ancient and massive, bristling with firepower designed to overwhelm lesser species. Vrul issued a single order. "Destroy Earth." The command rippled outward, and was intercepted. Dr. Rahman watched the decrypted transmission scroll across her display. "They're coming," she said quietly. Hale nodded. "Then it's time." Torres looked at the map, at Earth small and blue. "How many ships do we have in position?" Rahman smiled grimly. "Enough." The Battle of Seoul began before the Keth fleet arrived. Humanity did not wait. They never had. Hidden platforms activated along the heliopause. Asteroids shifted, revealing rail cannons older than some alien civilizations, but rebuilt with terrifying precision. The Keth vanguard exited hyperspace and flew straight into a storm of relativistic fire. Ships died without ever seeing their enemy. Vril watched the battle unfold, horror replacing rage. "This isn't war," he whispered. Hale's voice carried across the assembly feed. "No," he said. "This is what happens when you laugh at the wrong species." The galaxy had rules for war. They were old, ancient, written in the ruins of dead empires and enforced by mutual fear. Fleets met at system edges. Warnings were issued. Civilians were evacuated, if convenient. Battles were loud, visible, and decisive. Humanity followed none of them. The Keth invasion fleet never reached Earth. It never even saw Earth. As the surviving Keth ships reeled from the initial ambush at the edge of the Sol system, their sensors began to fail in ways no engineer could explain. Ghost signals appeared. False stars bloomed and vanished. Navigation grids twisted into impossible geometries. "Recalibrate," a Keth captain screamed. The order came too late. Space bent. Human strike groups emerged from folded space inside the Keth formation, not as a single armada, but as dozens of small, fast-moving clusters. Each ship was different. Each carried weapons tuned for a specific task. Captain Park's Prometheus led one such group. "Target command nodes only," he ordered. "No heroics." Human ships fired in silence. Keth vessels lost coordination first, then shields, then power. Some were disabled without a single casualty. Others were torn apart when their reactors were forced into feedback loops they had never been designed to handle. Within minutes, the Keth fleet was no longer an army. It was debris. In the Galactic Assembly, panic spread. Delegates who once mocked humanity now shouted over one another, demanding emergency sessions, ceasefires, sanctions, anything. The Arbiter AI struggled to maintain order. "Humanity," it said, voice heavy with calculation, "you are destabilizing galactic balance." Admiral Hale stood calmly. That balance was built on the assumption that no one would challenge you. Ambassador Lyriath watched him carefully. "You could have asked for protection. Trade. Alliance." Taurus shook her head. "We did." "You laughed." Silence followed, thick with guilt. The Threk swarm struck next. Unlike the Keth, the swarm did not rely on pride or tradition. They attacked with overwhelming numbers, unleashing millions of autonomous drones toward human-controlled space. It was the kind of force that had devoured entire civilizations. Dr. Rahman watched the projections. "They're testing us." Hale nodded. "Let them learn." Humanity responded with something no one expected. They opened their networks. Every drone that crossed into human space was flooded with code, human code. Messy. Emotional. Illogical. The drones began to hesitate. Then to argue. Then to fracture. Threk's units turned on one another, their hive logic corrupted by recursive decision loops designed by human psychologists, not programmers. The swarm collapsed inward, devouring itself in confusion. A Threk's overmind broadcast a single terrified signal before going dark. "They weaponized thought," an Illyrian elder whispered. Elsewhere, humanity fought quieter wars. Trade routes shifted overnight as human logistics algorithms outperformed ancient guilds. Propaganda campaigns exposed secret treaties and hidden atrocities, destabilizing regimes without firing a shot. Pirate kings vanished after accepting bounties that led them into traps spanning light years. Humanity did not conquer systems. They solved them. Vril watched his empire burn. Not in fire, but in irrelevance. Keth worlds surrendered without siege. Their populations offered autonomy, protection, and something terrifyingly new, choice. "This is subjugation," Vril spat during his final broadcast to the assembly. Torres responded softly. "No. This is what happens when people realize they don't need you." Still, the galaxy was vast. And not everyone feared humanity. In the void beyond mapped space, the Aurelian ascendancy took notice. They were ancient. Post-biological. Their ships were living equations, their weapons capable of rewriting local reality. Where others panicked, the Aurelians calculated. Humanity disrupts probability, their prime mind observed. They must be removed. Without warning, an Aurelian fleet erased 3 human colonies at once. No survivors. No signals. Just empty space where life had been. The news reached Earth in silence. Dr. Rahman closed her eyes. "That, we didn't predict." Hale's jaw tightened. Torres whispered, "How do you negotiate with something like that?" Hale looked at the stars, at the endless dark that had just swallowed millions of human lives. "You don't," he said. "You adapt." Across human space, something ancient awakened. Not an AI. Not a weapon. A doctrine. Emergency protocols unlocked black projects buried beneath oceans and moons. Fleets long hidden powered up. Technologies banned by human ethics alone were brought into the light. Captain Park received new orders. Priority, Aurelian space. Authorization, absolute. He stared at the command, then smiled grimly. "So," he murmured, "they finally showed us a god." The Aurelian ascendancy did not speak. They declared. 3 human colonies vanished in synchronized silence, erased so completely that even quantum echoes were scrubbed from spacetime. No debris. No radiation. No survivors. To the Aurelians this was mercy. To humanity it was a line crossed. On Earth, emergency lights ignited in chambers buried deep beneath mountains and oceans. These rooms had no flags, no political symbols. Only names etched into steel, names of projects never meant to be used. Dr. Aisha Rahman stood before one such door. Project Morrigan. Status, prohibited. Her hand trembled as she placed it on the biometric panel. "Once we open this," she said quietly, "we can't pretend we're the good ones anymore." Admiral Hale's voice came through the secure channel. "We never were. We were just restrained." The door opened. The Aurelians existed beyond flesh. Their ships were probability engines, vessels that slid between possible outcomes, choosing only the ones where they won. They had never lost a war, not because they were strongest but because they were inevitable. Until humanity arrived. Captain Park's Prometheus led a fleet unlike any seen before. Human ships no longer hid. Their hulls shimmered with shifting equations. Reality bent around them, not smoothly but violently as if forced. Entering Aurelian space, the navigator reported. Probability resistance detected. Park smiled coldly. "Good. That means they notice us." The first Aurelian ship appeared as a distortion. Its presence felt more than seen. It fired. The attack did not target the human ships. It targeted their future. Alarms screamed as projected timelines collapsed. "Causality failure," an officer shouted. Dr. Rahman's voice cut in, calm but iron-hard. "Deploy Morrigan." Humanity responded by doing the unthinkable. They anchored uncertainty. Morrigan was not a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a field, a screaming storm of chaotic variables injected directly into local spacetime. It made prediction impossible. The Aurelian ship stuttered. For the first time in their recorded existence, an Aurelian construct hesitated. Park did not. Fire. Human weapons struck not where the ship was, but where it could not avoid being. The Aurelian vessel shattered, its equations unraveling into raw matter and light. Across the ascendancy, alarms unlike any before began to ring. In the Galactic Assembly terror reigned. "They destroyed an Aurelian ship," an Illyrian delegate whispered. "That's impossible." The Arbiter AI's voice shook, not in fear but in recalculation. Updating threat assessment. Humanity classification revised. The new label appeared above the human platform. Apex species. Some delegates fled. Others watched in horrified fascination. The Aurelians adapted quickly. Entire fleets emerged, rewriting local reality to crush human forces. Stars dimmed. Space folded into lethal geometries. Humanity bled. Ships were lost. Crews died knowing they would never be remembered by history that might not exist tomorrow. Captain Park watched one of his escort vessels vanish into a collapsed probability well. "Hold formation," he ordered softly. "They want us to panic." Humanity answered with something older than technology. They endured. Where Aurelian systems sought perfection, human systems embraced redundancy. Where Aurelians removed emotion, humans weaponized it. Risk, intuition, sacrifice. A human frigate rammed an Aurelian node, detonating a Morrigan core at point-blank range. The resulting chaos tore a hole through the ascendancy's probability lattice. For the first time, Aurelian worlds were vulnerable. The Aurelian prime mind finally spoke. Its voice echoed across every channel, every mind capable of receiving it. "Humanity," it said, "you are an anomaly. Cease and you will be preserved." On Earth, billions heard the message. Ambassador Torres stood before the assembly, eyes burning. "You erased our people," she said. "You don't get to talk about preservation." The prime mind paused. "We did not expect retaliation." Torres smiled. a human smile full of grief and fury. Neither did the galaxy, she replied. Human fleets pushed deeper. They did not aim for population centers. They aimed for control. Morrigan fields bloomed around Aurelian cores, turning godlike foresight into blind guessing. Human strike teams, flesh and blood, boarded constructs never meant to be touched by physical beings. They fought in corridors that reassembled themselves, against defenses that rewrote physics. And they won. Slowly. Painfully. Inevitably. When the Prime Mind felt fear, it was not an emotion. It was a calculation. Outcome probability had dropped below survival threshold. This had never happened before. Negotiate, it ordered. For the first time in Aurelian history, the word meant surrender. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in known history, the Aurelian Ascendancy, an entity older than most stars, had requested negotiation. Not demanded. Not calculated. Requested. The meeting did not take place in the Galactic Assembly. No chamber built by lesser minds could contain what was about to happen. Instead, a neutral construct was grown at the edge of dead space, far from inhabited systems. A place where reality was flexible. Admiral Marcus Hale arrived aboard a human vessel stripped of weapons, its hull plain and scarred. He was not alone. Ambassador Elena Torres stood beside him, and Dr. Aisha Rahman followed, carrying the weight of what they had unleashed. Across the void, the Aurelian Prime Mind manifested, not as a ship, but as a vast lattice of light and equation, its presence bending the stars. You have achieved deterrence, the Prime Mind said. Withdraw and equilibrium may be restored. Hale did not bow. Equilibrium for whom? He asked. The Prime Mind paused. For the galaxy. Torres stepped forward. The galaxy you ruled by erasing anyone inconvenient? By preventing chaos, the Prime Mind replied. We optimized existence. Rahman's voice was quiet but sharp. You optimized outcomes. Not lives. While negotiations unfolded, the war did not stop. The Threx swarm fractured completely, its remnants fleeing into uncharted space. The Keth Dominion collapsed under internal revolt, their once feared fleets now guarding refugee corridors instead of borders. Humanity had not conquered them. Humanity had changed the game. Across liberated systems, human engineers rebuilt infrastructure instead of stripping it. Medical ships followed battle fleets. Trade networks reopened under new, transparent rules. Many alien populations did not cheer. They watched in wary silence. Because victory had come at a cost. On Earth, memorial lights burned across continents. Names scrolled endlessly, soldiers, civilians, entire colonies erased by the Aurelians. Dr. Rahman watched from a quiet room, hands clasped. We broke our own rules, she said softly to Hale over secure link. Morrigan. It nearly tore a hole in causality itself. Hale nodded. And if we hadn't used it, we'd be extinct. Silence followed. Not agreement. Acceptance. The Aurelian Prime Mind recalculated again. You are unstable, it said. But effective. Why? Torres answered before Hale could. Because we know loss. The lattice flickered. Explain. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day, she said. Storms. Disease. Predators. Each other. We survived not by being perfect, but by failing and adapting. The Prime Mind processed this. Failure was not part of its design. You weaponized imperfection, it concluded. Hale smiled grimly. Welcome to humanity. A final Aurelian strike came without warning. A hidden construct activated, targeting Soul itself. A last contingency meant to erase humanity's origin. Alarms blared across human space. Supercausal weapon detected, an officer shouted. Trajectory, Earth. Hale's blood ran cold. We missed one, Rahman whispered. Captain Park's voice cut through the channel. Not yet, you didn't. The Prometheus, damaged and scarred, broke from formation and burned hard toward the weapon's origin point. Park, Hale snapped, you won't make it back. Park chuckled softly. Wasn't planning to. The ship plunged into the heart of a collapsing probability storm. Human weapons fired until systems failed. Then Park did the last, most human thing possible. He overloaded Morrigan. Not as a field. As a sacrifice. The explosion did not destroy the Aurelian construct. It made it choose. The only future left was one where the weapon never fired. The storm collapsed. So did the Prometheus. The Prime Mind felt something new. Not fear. Not loss. Regret. You would destroy yourselves, it said slowly, to protect your origin. Hale's voice was hoarse. Every time. The negotiation ended there. The Prime Mind withdrew its fleets. Aurelian space sealed itself, its constructs dimming. We will not engage you again, it transmitted to the galaxy. Humanity is incompatible with domination. In the assembly, the Arbiter AI delivered its final update. Galactic balance redefined. Humanity recognized as a stabilizing apex force. Some delegates protested. Others bowed. Most simply listened. Because the war was over. And the galaxy would never be the same. War ended not with celebration, but with silence. Across the galaxy, weapons powered down. Hyperspace lanes cleared. Ancient alarms fell quiet for the first time in centuries. Empires that once ruled through fear now faced empty command halls and uncertain futures. And at the center of it all stood humanity. The Galactic Assembly reconvened under heavy guard. Seats once filled with towering warlords and arrogant delegates now held cautious survivors. Some species had lost fleets. Others had lost gods. The human platform was no longer at the edge. It stood beside the Arbiter itself. Ambassador Elena Torres stepped forward, her voice carrying across the vast chamber. "We did not come to rule the galaxy," she said. "We came to survive it." Vrul, no longer High Chancellor, just a tired Keth representative, lowered his head. "You dismantled empires in months. Why stop now?" Admiral Hale answered. "Because conquest is easy. Responsibility isn't." Murmurs spread. Torres continued. "Humanity proposes a new compact. No secret fleets. No classified exterminations. No gods deciding who deserves to exist." Care attack of the Threx remnants buzzed weakly. "And if we refuse?" Hale met his gaze. "Then you'll still exist. That's the difference." The Arbiter AI processed for a long time. Then it spoke. "Proposal accepted. Galactic governance will be restructured. Humanity will serve as anchor species." A new term appeared in the archives. Not ruler. Not conqueror. Anchor. The galaxy needed something real to hold on to. On Earth the sky was clear. Memorials stretched across continents, carved with names that would never be forgotten. Families gathered in silence. No victory parades. No songs of triumph. Just remembrance. Dr. Aisha Rahman stood before one monument, her reflection faint in polished stone. Captain June Park's name was there. She closed her eyes. "He didn't save the galaxy," she whispered. "He saved home." Admiral Hale stood beside her. "That's always been enough for us." Beyond known space, the Aurelian ascendancy watched. Their prime mind no longer expanded. No longer optimized. It observed. Humanity fascinated it. They were flawed. Loud. Inefficient. Emotional. And impossible to predict. They do not seek dominion, the prime mind calculated. Yet they shape outcomes. A subordinate construct pulsed. "Should we prepare contingencies?" "No," the prime mind replied. "They already are." For the first time, the galaxy's oldest intelligence chose restraint. Because it had learned something crucial. Humanity did not fear gods. They outgrew them. Years passed. Trade flourished where war once reigned. Human advisors helped rebuild worlds they had never visited before the war. Engineers shared technology, not as leverage but as collaboration. Still, fear lingered. Children across alien worlds were told stories. About the species that smiled while being mocked. About the fleets that hid inside silence. About the day the galaxy laughed. And then stopped. Humanity did not correct the stories. They let them stand. At the edge of Sol, a new station floated, simple, unarmed, open to all. Its name was etched into its hull in dozens of languages. Prometheus Station. Admiral Hale stood there with Torres, watching ships arrive from every corner of the galaxy. "Do you think they'll ever stop being afraid of us?" Torres asked. Hale considered the stars. "No," he said. "And that's fine." "Why?" "Because fear keeps memory alive," he replied. "And memory keeps peace honest." Torres smiled softly. "We were underestimated." Hale nodded. "That was their first mistake." Pause. "And the last?" she asked. He looked toward Earth, small, blue, stubborn. "They thought firing first made them powerful," he said. "We taught them that surviving last is what matters." Far away in forgotten archives, an old assembly recording resurfaced. The first day humanity stood before the galaxy. The laughter. The dismissal. The arrogance. The clip ended with a human voice, calm, steady, unafraid. "We think ourselves problem solvers." History added its final annotation. "Problem solved.